Hi, I'm Janet. I'm Director of Operations at PTFS Europe. I have a background in academic libraries, and one of my roles at the company is to oversee Koha library management system implementations. Sam has already given us a really good overview of the implementation at Leeds City College. I'd just like to expand on our implementation process. So whether your requirement is a fast track implementation or something a little more leisurely, we will be able to, working with you, accommodate that. So our implementation timetable, there are, as you can see, several factors that need to be carried out in order to effect a good project, starting with a project planning meeting. This is the point where we get together and, with all relevant parties, plan out the timetable of events for that project. One of the agenda for that project planning meeting pretty much covers some of the other topics on that list there. One of the outcomes of the planning meeting will be the production of a project planning document that we'll refer back to throughout the weeks. So data migration and conversion is a key element to carrying out an implementation. Data needs to be extracted and then migrated into the new Koha system. As such, we need to establish rules for that mapping of data. And that is one of the key elements of the configuration workshop, which is another milestone. At the configuration workshop, we'll look at data mapping, but also mapping policies in the new system. After the workshop, you have a period of review where you can think about those policy mappings. But once they're established, we can build a configuration onto your new Koha installation and then carry out the core training. So core training will be carried out by your trainer. It's modular driven, and it will give you the skills to then carry out your own cascade training of library staff for people who couldn't attend the core training. But it will also give you the tools and knowledge of the system so that you can undertake your user testing with confidence. So user testing is really important because this gives you a point to look at your data, look at your configuration, look at any look and feel aspects, and any questions or changes or requests can be channeled through feedback approaches, usually a spreadsheet, but we ensure that we monitor any feedback and take any measures to fulfill whatever needs you need. So alongside all of those elements, there are concurrent activities ongoing, and these generally relate to IT issues such as authentication or setting up self-issue machines or establishing integration with your discovery layers. All of those elements can be ongoing throughout the project timeline, but they generally involve IT involvement. So we know how busy IT departments are in your establishments. So although the time required for that involvement may not be huge, we still need to factor in and timetable in any requirements that need IT input. And finally, go live is an important milestone. There may be constraints that give you a fixed date for a go live point. It could be the cessation of a current contract with your LMS supplier, or it could be dovetailing in with the summer vacation in colleges. Either way, we can work with you to meet that timeline. So let's have a look at the project meeting. Key thing is to bring your diaries, bring along, and also in attendance will be any key personnel who can feed into those bullet points that we just looked at. As you can see, there's a lot to pack in, but we have a lot of experience of projects of different lengths. So this slide gives us an idea of a basic outline of events. We can see that this is a 3-month project, and we've run them shorter, we've run them longer. We're starting in May, and we can see each of the different milestones here. We're extracting the data following the project meeting. That feeds into the ability to run the workshop. Once we've run the workshop, we can apply the configuration, which means the data can be converted, and then training can commence. Now, if I click out into our Instagant diagram here, it gives us a more interactive feel of what's going on in the project. So if I scroll along to the right, we can see in this instance, live running is towards the end of August. And at the moment here, we've got a testing time of 4 weeks. If that were pushed any longer, so if you require more testing time, obviously that's going to have a knock-on effect on your live running, unless that's a fixed date. So it's just to illustrate that if there are extra requirements, or if there's any reason to extend or shorten different elements of the project, then there will be, we need to ensure that there's wriggle room, basically. We need to build in Slack to make sure that there is plenty of time to undertake each of the different elements. So I'll go back now into the slideshow. So just to keep everybody up to date, we provide documentation throughout the project. From the project plan, we provide testing plans. We will also supply training scenarios to assist with your cascade training. We'll manage feedback and continually through the project, we have regular project calls to bring in key personnel so that everybody knows what they're doing and making sure that everything is on track. So just some factors to consider. You need to allow time for data checking, and Sam reiterated that earlier on. Staff need to get accustomed to the new system, to new workflows, new ways of doing things, potentially new policy names. Cascade training is important to factor in. We also, if required, run workshops to help guide you when you're thinking about cascade training. As systems admins, you need to become familiar with the configurations that have been decided, and think about making any changes so you're ready to go live. So that could be tweaking circulation rules and so on. And finally, be aware that you need to involve IT departments so that they're aware and around for authentication and any self-service testing, for example. So finally, whether your requirement is a speedy project or longer, the important thing is we will work with you to ensure there's enough time for each aspect. So we'll deliver to your timescale, but we'll maintain flexibility. And I think that pretty much covers the basics of implementation. Thanks very much for listening. If you've got any questions for me, please put them in the chat. Thank you.